Okay, today I'm going to show you how to change out a GFCI outlet. We've got one that's pretty discolored in this kitchen on this house we are remodeling. So I went ahead and went up to Home Depot and purchased these. This is a 4-pack. It's around about 55 bucks for 4 of them. These are 15 amp. There is a difference between 15 amp and 20 amp, depends on what kind of load you're pulling. I went ahead and got an electrician screw kit. These come with a bunch of varieties of screws. Being that we have replaced the drywall, we will definitely probably need to put some outlet spacers, which I have here, and I'll show you how to install these as well, if needed, once we pull it out. First thing you need to do, obviously, is cut off the power. You can get you one of these multimeter stick testers, which works really good. I have already turned off the breaker outside, and I actually showed how to use a transmitter and receiver made by Klein Tools that actually allows you to cut off a single breaker and identify it in the panel using the receiver and transmitter. Works really great. So we've already cut the power off. I'm gonna go ahead and just stick it up here and we'll test both sides just to show you. So first things first, you can get yourself a flathead screwdriver. Get this camera kind of set up so it's out the way but still able to record a video. So first thing you want to do is go ahead and remove the faceplate, which we have here. It's a flathead. These are going to be very, very short screws. I'm changing out the faceplates, the covers, with new ones, as these are kind of yellowed over time. Painters almost painted it to the wall. Anyhow, after you've got that, if you've got yourself an impact or a drill, will make it come in handy. I've got just this DeWalt impact. Mine actually has a setting down here on the bottom, number 1, 2, and 3. I usually put mine on number 2 when I'm dealing with outlets and stuff like that. This has got a number 2 Phillips head bit on it. So we want to go ahead and remove the screw here and the screw here. If you do them at one time, you're gonna see that there's a little plastic piece on the back that actually holds the screw into the outlet. So do them about halfway on each one and just keep going back and forth. That way you don't lose the screw if you've got to remount this one. Like I said, we're changing ours out. It's burnt up. So being that this is a remove and replace, it's going to be straightforward. You really need to make sure that you got enough wire in the wall. If you don't have enough wire, you can always pigtail a piece on. As you can tell, I'm double checking everything. Sometimes these readers don't get accurate enough. So on the back side, you have, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. So you have a hot feed, you have a line in, and a load. So these two right here are my load, and these are my line. Okay, so they need to make sure that on your new outlet, you go back exactly the same way. It needs to be hooked back to line and load. Load is coming from, one outlet to another, and line's coming from the actual line, which is going to be your circuit breaker. So on the new GFCI, it's got the exact same thing. Line here and here, load here and here. So if you've looked at this, we'll flip it back over. This is standing up straight. This one's standing up straight. We're gonna flip them both at the same time. And let's see if we can actually see this. So this is what's different. My line is actually on the top of my new outlet, and load is on the bottom, and on the old one, load is on the top and line is on the bottom. So we need to make sure that we actually bring the sets of wires that are here on the bottom of this old one right here up to the top of the new one. So it's pretty straightforward. We're gonna go ahead and loosen these up. Back you up a little bit so you can see it. We're gonna go ahead and loosen the first two up. Take the wire out and take the wire out. And sometimes your Phillips head on your drill will not work. I recommend using a flathead on any of your outlets, hand crank anything that you may need to do. I'm gonna get these wires untwisted out of the wall. I don't like it looking like spaghetti, if I can help it. Let's see, let's go ahead and take the ground off. The ground will go to the green lug that is on the bottom. And for some reason, people like to backstab the outlets, which is where you just stick the wire in straight through the back of the outlet. I never do that. I always wrap my wire around the lug and then tighten it. That way it always tightens back to the outlet. It kind of pulls the wire as you go. Get yourself a pair of wire strippers, which I've got here. You want to go ahead and make that curl, and I'll show you that. Actually, I'll clip this off. So what I did is clipped it off. I got my wire straight now. I'm gonna grab it about a 1/2 inch in, and we're gonna just bend it over and wrap it around like so. Don't close it too tight or you will never get it around the lug. And it needs to look something about like that, this here. We're gonna go ahead and do the other ones the same way, the white and the black. Get back that camera up a little bit more. Your hot and your neutral, do the same way. And I'm gonna show you why I do these this way. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just clip these. And we'll give us a little bit more length. There we go. I would strip the wire back about 1 inch. And if you'll start that bend in about the middle of that 1 inch, like I said, don't close it all the way or you won't get it wrapped around the lug. Okay, we've got them two. All right, so them two came off of the line side, which is marked right here. So what we want to do is white never goes to the right when you're looking at the back side. Black's always on the left. So if that came off the line side, we need to identify the line side on our new one, which is going to be right here, like I said, on the top side. So white is never on the right. That's just a quick saying. So if you're looking at this lug, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. If you'll come in with the bottom of your wire at the bottom side of that lug, I need to loosen it up a little bit. Hold on just a second. Okay, and once you pull it in there, so now it looks like this. You can actually, when you take your flathead and you tighten this down, this is gonna finish closing that wire, but also it's gonna pull it tight no matter what. And you see how that pulled tight? To me, this is a lot safer than backstabbing it, especially when we've got metal boxes in the wall. Metal boxes do tend to arc, and especially if you backstab it and the wire breaks loose somehow when you're reinstalling it, you know, back into the box. So loosen it up, and now on the white wire, we're gonna come in on the top side. Like I said, it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You always want to make sure you wrap your wire the correct way so that it steadily is tightening as you are cranking down on the lug nut. So let's get that one tightened down. Okay, that one's nice and tight. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just clip these wires off the old one. I'm gonna strip them back anyway. I'm gonna cut them as close as I can. Like I said, about 1 inch, strip it back about 1 inch, and then put a bend in it about center. Don't close it all the way. All right, same thing on the other one. Bend it about halfway. All right, now, just make sure your lug is loose enough. The ones that are taped up on the GFCI, that has this yellow little caution piece on it, you need to go ahead and remove that to access, you know, the lugs that are there. So again, we're gonna twist it the exact way, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. All right, see it's in there. You can see the wires kind of running at an angle. So as I go to tighten this with my flathead screwdriver, it's gonna pull that wire the correct way. Here we go, see it pulling it? And that is what you want. Do not over tighten them, but you definitely need to put a little bit of elbow to it. But you don't want to put so much that you'll break the outlet for sure. Okay, go ahead and unloosen the other side, the other neutral. Same way. Kind of holding it with my thumb here to kind of keep it tight. You want to make sure your bend is right at the bottom of that screw to make sure that it's gonna, you know, wrap correctly. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. All right, now for the ground. The ground is the same way. It wraps the same fashion. Now, when you got a lot of wires, you know, back here like we do, we got 4 wires, actually 5 including the ground. It's gonna be a little stiff to kind of move it around. Just take your time, you'll get it. Definitely don't want to nick nothing or rush it. The clines and the wire strippers definitely help to kind of straighten the wire out as you need and bend it accordingly. Okay, let's see. Get your butt in there. Okay, now the ground's in. All right, just go ahead and tighten it down, and I'm gonna show you the little channel that the ground has, and that way you know if you're wrapping it correctly. Right there is a little bitty channel, right there, and you can see where that wire actually runs into that channel and then wraps around, because remember, righty-tighty, and that's gonna steadily pull the wire tight as I'm tightening it, and it's gonna close the loop. So now that we've got that done, now it's a matter of getting this back in the wall. What I like to do is pull my ground away from everything, put a nice kind of bend with my fingers back here in the back of the outlet for the wires. Make sure the ground stays out of contact. And I'll go ahead and kind of push this at an angle. You can see the screw hole for the box right here. Obviously it's right down there on the bottom. I twist this thing to the side and then kind of mash it in to get it where it needs to be first. Once I've done that, now I can straighten it out and go ahead and get my screws started. You don't want to over tighten these into the wall. This one doesn't need outlet spacers, so we're good to go on that. But what you want to do is when you tighten these down, is kind of make sure that everything's sitting level, especially up here at the drywall. You don't want to bend the outlet in on these dog-eared tabs. If you bend it in, then it's going to sit back further than your faceplate and it's going to look weird. You want to grab it, make sure it's not loose, obviously left, right, side to side, up, down, kind of shake it. Same way with the bottom screw. I just use the actual impact just to get it started, and then I come back with my flathead. Even though it's a Phillips, the flathead gets better grip. That way I can kind of see what I'm doing. Now we've got it that far, we're going to go ahead and get our faceplate. They make non-breakable faceplates. Unfortunately, both stores that I went to yesterday were out. So we're going to make do with what we've got here. Okay. And obviously the painters are going to have to touch up a little bit. But you can buy jumbo plates, bigger wall plates and stuff to kind of hide any of the boo-boos that may be behind there. Let's see, sometimes these are tricky to get started. I've got a little piece of something right there in the way. There we go. Okay. Now, if you looked when I put this up there, it looks like there's a little bitty gap down there on the left-hand corner right here. And I'm just holding this now. It's not screwed in, which tells me I've over-tightened the outlet just a little bit. So I'm gonna back it up, kind of mush on the sides a little bit, get it, make sure it's sitting straight. Okay, now I've done that, it's gonna sit a lot tighter. All right. And usually what I do to get these little screws started is I push, go to the left, which would be loosening, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I go to the left and you can kind of feel a little pop. That lets you know you're actually in the actual hole. You'll see me do that quite often. I don't know if you just heard that or not. Okay, that's that. And that's that. So there you go. All right, let's go turn the breaker on. and we'll test it out. Now I'm up on a 4th story house. I'm actually in the 2nd story of the 4-story house, so it takes me a second to get up and down to the panel. So here's our big electrical panel. We turned off number 4. It's back on, it's holding. So now what we need to do is go inside and hit the reset button and the test button. Make sure that everything's working correctly, and we'll move on to the next one. So let's see what we got. All right, we're back up. And there's the green light. So basically all I did was there's a test button that makes sure that it trips. Hit the reset button, should light up. And to make sure that this GFCI is actually operating correctly, you can hit the test button and you should hear it trip. Let's see. That click means it's working. So we'll set it back, the light will come back on, and we're good for power. Now, if anything was wrong with this and this thing was not working correctly, that light would not be green right now, it would actually be red. Anyhow, I hope this helps. Thank you for watching.